everybody, and welcome back to Proof Code, and welcome back to the second video of my Python Intermediate Object-orientated Programming series. In today's video, we'll learn how to add attributes and methods. In my first video, we learned how to create classes and also explain what object-oriented programming is. If you haven't seen that video, don't worry, I'll leave the playlist link in the description box below. And I also have a Python Basics for Beginner series. I'll also leave that in the description as well. So how are we going to add a method or an attribute? So here we have here as an attribute. So each here is an attribute. So doors is the attribute, windows is another attribute, and floors is another attribute. So now we want to know how to define methods. So to define a method, you are defining one in a class. So defining a method is more like defining a function. How do you define a method? First, you're going to define in the name of your method. Let's call this method open window. It's going to take up self, and we're going to print out opening the windows. Now here inside here, what the function what defined is a method. So we're gonna copy this and remove this, and now I'm gonna say house1.open window without the self parameter. It's always good to have the self parameter inside this class because Python was made in 1991, so because they want it should only have the self parameter only. And also when you're using a function here, make sure it must not have the self parameter as well. It must not have the self parameter here since self has already been a parameter used in here. For now that we haven't used it here, you can run our program. It says opening the windows. You can also define all sorts of methods and create variables. So let's say self dot say windows equals 2, self dot doors equals 2, self dot floors 7. Also, if we try that, it will also say that let's say print say self dot windows, self dot doors, self dot floors. So if we run this, it's going to print out the number of windows, doors, floors. Also, we can also add additional parameters to this. So let's just remove this, and let me just add a little bit of space here. And we can also add the number of windows, doors, floors. And in order to do this, you must use the self parameter. Let's say self dot windows. So we're going to create a variable called self dot windows equals the number of windows entered. So self dot doors equals the doors. The self dot floors equals floors. Now that we try to, so we'll also print that out. Let's say this will be a formatted string. Let's say windows equals self dot windows. Let's see doors self dot windows doors. Let's see floors self dot floors. And if we save this, and here make sure you must enter the numbers because Python will ignore the self parameter inside here, and it will only focus on these on the additional parameters we have here. So now that we'll try this, and let's say we have 7 windows, 2 doors, and 4 floors. So if we run that, you see it's going to first print opening the windows, and it's going to print the numbers that we entered inside the parameters. And also there's another method that is mostly used in Python. So I'm gonna also just remove this open window. method, and we're gonna just say def underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and then say we're gonna check up the self parameter, because init is the most defined method used in Python classes. That's what every programmer uses when they're defining a method inside a class that is being created. So when I say let's say self dot windows is 5, let's say self dot floors equals 7, let's say self dot doors equals 2. And now when we print this out, so let's say print so self dot windows self dot floors see self dot doors, run that, and we're not using this open window method. Let's say init, let's call the init, and it doesn't take the self parameter. When we run this, it's going to print them out like 2 times. Let's just try removing this. So if we run this, it's going to print this out, but you can easily remove it since you're in Sublime Text. And you can also add methods, and you can also add additional parameters, so let's say windows, floors, doors. And now instead of having to add the numbers, we're going to set this to windows, floors, let's say doors. If you just enter the numbers, it's going to give you an error. So if I just do it like this, if I just enter the numbers, it will probably give me an error. So I just use these parameters, and we run the program. See, I forgot to add the arguments. See, 7, 6, 2. Oh, let's see. And that is also says 7, 6, 2. And also we remove this as well. Let's try that. It's going to print out the same numbers of. It's going to print out the same numbers. So that is pretty much everything for today. Because also, before I end this video, like the video if you appreciate it. It helps me out a lot when I'm making my tutorials. Subscribe so you don't subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos. And share this series with someone who wants to know object-oriented programming. And I also have a Python basics tutorial series. I'll leave the playlist in the description. And also make sure you have Python installed. I'll also leave the download link in the description if you don't have it installed yet. And I'll see you in my next tutorial series. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.